A very good morning to all of you. I welcome you all to session number 35 of ICF Sunday webinar series. And today is going to be the first webinar this year. And our speaker for today is Mr. P.K. Madhavan. And he's about the changing contours of content. And just I'll start by telling you something about Mr. Madhavan, who is the founder publisher of Vijay Nicole, which is an educational publishing company. And he has 32 years of experience in various domains of publishing, including acquisitions, editing, sales and promotion, and copy editing. And before he started out on his own, he worked with McGraw-Hill and Vikas Publishing, and he has recently completed his doctoral thesis on authors, copyright, and book publishing in the digital era. So over to you, Mr. Madhavan.
Thank you, Vivek. Thank you, Dr. Venkat. What I want to start off is by saying, first of all, a very, very happy 2021 for everyone. Wishing all of you lots of peace, prosperity, good health. So happy New Year, everyone. Vivek, should I go on to share screen?
Yeah. Yes.
This one.
Yeah. We're able to
Just a second. Do it again.
Okay. To start off, I want to tell you what this presentation is about. The first 3 slides explain what content is and its importance. After that, I'll take you through. We'll trace the journey of content and the order of the book, as I call it. We'll look at the highlights of the digital disruption in process, product, and mind-boggling flip concepts of digital publishing. This presentation also touches upon the new roles and opportunities and the way forward. In the way forward, very briefly, I discuss some of the digital initiatives we have started. So in broad and simple terms, content is text, image, audio, and video, or a combination of these. I think all of us know this. It is expressed through some medium and is directed at end users, audiences. Content is delivered through media including print, internet, cinema, television, radio, smartphone, audio, CD, books, and includes live events such as speeches, conferences, and stage performances. Content was not a respectable word for a very long time in publishing circles. This is because a tweet and a tome, a poem and a ditty, a jingle and a musical masterpiece, they were all considered, all were clubbed together as content. So it was not considered a respectable word. for instance, as an aside, there was a shop displaying a board saying adult content. A lot of people were very curious on what the store had. And so an innocent person, just like me, thought maybe the store had pension plans. I don't know what you thought. Anyway, moving on. Um, the phrase content is king was popularized by Bill Gates in an article in 1996. Later on, many people added context is queen, engagement is queen, and things like that. We all know that content can be formal or informal. Books and theses and journals are considered formal. Conference proceeding as yet is considered informal. A lecture is considered informal in scholarly publishing. Can be long or short. Like as I said, it could be a tweet or a tome, an SMS message, and a full-length book. Can be linear or modular. Can be masked or customized. Can be original or remix. When I did a research on the keywords of content and publishing, they threw a lot of like words: text, message, information, idea, concept, topic, subject. Are keywords in both these words, which comes to what I want to say, which is content is at the heart and soul of publishing. This was said by Hal Robinson. We live in the content age. Content has been king, challenged by context in social media and the battle for attention and rethroned. Precondition for publishing is content. There's no such thing as content-free publishing. This is by Michael Bhaskar. He is the author of this book called The Content Machine, and towards the theory of publishing from the printing press to the digital network. Speaking to Dr. Venkat some time back, I was telling him that this is one of the best books that I've read in a very, very long time. I probably gone through the book 100 times. I'm yet to complete it fully. It gives me new meanings every time I read it. And it's not an easy book to read, but it's a wonderful book. So that's the picture of the book that I've displayed there. In simplistic terms, we all know that content is processed, content is created, processed, produced, and delivered in hybrid ways, both in print and digital. The stakeholders, in very simplistic terms, are authors or creators, publishers who are the intermediaries, and readers. This concept is also being threatened. We'll come to it. I'm going to be talking about stakeholders stakeholders to content. Who are the stakeholders to content? A bit in 2 or 3 slides. So we'll move on. I thought it's important for us to know what the content and copyright industries are. As far as we are concerned, it's press and literature and copyright collective management societies. The rest of we all know that software and visual and graphic arts, movies, music, all are copyright industries. Also, are some of these paper photocopier, they are called the interdependent copyright industries. And we also have the support industries which rely on intellectual property. See that the term content denotes IP that can be versioned, exploited, managed, and delivered to customers and users in various formats, and on different platforms. So it was important for the legal community to have one term which would fit everything, and they called it content. Content is a bundle of rights. Everyone with an interest in these rights, authors, agents, publishers, and other media companies, seek to benefit from content. Now, content industries are very crucial to GDP growth and job creation, because unlike the industries of the past, which the assets were capital, land, labor, the asset is intangible asset. It's an intangible asset. It's the IPR. So that is the importance of the copyright thing. Very, very crucial for job creation and GDP for a country or a nation. So before I move on to, this is one part of the presentation where I was telling you what is content and what is its importance. And before we move on, maybe we can take a quick question. If anyone has a question, otherwise we'll move on. Am I going too fast? Would you want to have more time to read through the slide, or even anything like that? You can tell me at this point.
I think we can continue at this pace. Fine.
Right. Okay. Before the inventing of the printing press, there were a lot of things that happened. The most important is the oral traditions. The term primary orality was coined by Walter J. Ong. He was referring to the oral traditions of verbal communication, mnemonics, memory, intonation, and meter. And oral traditions are in vogue in many societies even today. For instance, I remember watching a movie a few weeks back. It's called A Song of Names. The actor who has migrated to the US learns that he's a musician. He's to give a very important performance, and he learns that this is set during the World War time. So he learns that his family back home, the entire city has been completely devastated, completely in ruins. So he decides to go back to see if his family is alive, and he is not able to meet even one human being in and around his place. So in the next town, he asks people whether they would remember, and somebody points them to a rabbi who is able to first look at a register, and they're not able to find names of his family, and then he starts chanting and using the chanting technique where they've learned how to memorize things. He is able to recall the various names of that's a song of names. They are able to he's able to point out that this entire family has been wiped out. That's just to point out the oral traditions that we Indians have also in India we have followed the oral traditions for a very long time. We were supposed to be very good at it, and there is a community in India where even as late as the end of 19th century, the eldest in the family would not be taught to read and write, so that the oral traditions continued. Now, the history of writing is also very interesting. Crude drawings, it started perhaps with crude drawings, symbols, pictures, alphabets on various surfaces, including rock, metal, wood, leather, parchment, leaves, papyrus, and things like that. Even as early as 1400 years ago, there are records of illuminated manuscripts where illustrated books with scribes having inscribed text with illustrations were in existence 1400 years back. An interesting piece of information is the world's only handwritten newspaper is in existence. It's in India, in Chennai. The name of that daily is Musalman. The calligraphers write Urdu in hand, and it's then composed, and it has got a circulation of 21,000 copies, and it survived 91 years. It's still being used. Just to touch upon the history of the importance of the writing. Researchers and experts say that the three biggest inventions for humankind have been paper, printing, and writing. Gutenberg's invention was not only printing, but an entire craft of paper, movable type ink, and the printing press. Walter Ong says that secondary orality refers to newsreaders reading text on TV, and this webinar where oral communication is based on writing and reading. As I told you, content per se, there were always stakeholders to content. As before and now, the biggest stakeholders are religious organizations, the government, and especially in those days, the early stakeholders were religious organizations and the government. But authors, printers, booksellers, businessmen, collectors of copyright, who resemble the modern day publisher, and publishers, that is the hierarchy of the early stakeholders to content. And in the early days, there were no authors. All information in intellectual property was the property of the community. And it was only during or after the industrial revolution, when a lot of inventions and there was rise of nation states and a lot of inventions and individual authors who created and invented various things. That is when the system of intellectual property came into being. Now, the system of the first known copyright is considered the Statute of Anne, that in 1710. That is supposed to be the first known copyright system in the world. The Berne Convention in 1886, and later on the consolidation of all copyright laws in 1911 paved way for the copyright system as it exists today. The reason for pointing out this is it's very important when we talk of content, is the print technology has lasted 500 plus years, and the system of copyright has been stable with imperfections for the last over 100 years. Okay, now let's look at the print and the impact of the book, which say has lasted, printing has lasted 500 years, maybe books and its importance definitely over 300 years. So Robert Carter calls our book the culture of the book. Our civilization is a product of the culture of the book. Van der Wiel, he is a Dutch professor in Leiden University. He calls the impact of the book on humankind as the order of the book. The order of the book has many stakeholders. So that includes all of us, religion, government, education, academic institutions, general readers, researchers, professionals, entertainment, society, cultural groups, and everyone per se. Now, the print culture of what Van der Wiel says is the print culture of reading in books has incorporated new technologies. This is very important. So, as far as Van der Wiel is concerned, books have incorporated new technologies in book creation, production, and dissemination, and the book remains a significant cultural capital. UNESCO in 1945 introduced the World Book Policy and called books as weapons of mass distribution. UNESCO till very recently, maybe even 10 years back, did not include the technology definition, or they only had the print definition. In the last 10 years, they've included that it could be any multimedia, electronic, digital content. The print form of reading is considered ideal for immersive reading and for reflection. Now, why is this? So, readers remember more when they read from paper than from computer or tablet, because fixity of text printed on paper supports a reader's construction of spatial requirements of the text by providing clear and fixed spatial cues for text memory and recall. This is something that I've read from what Kovac wrote about why immersive reading is paramount. Why print on paper and text printed is crucial for immersive reading. Now, as I mentioned to you, the stakeholders of content and the models of publishing. This is something that before we move on to digital, it's important that we understand that there have been different stakeholders who have different stakeholders and different models of publishing. The initial models where religious organizations would fund from people's contributions, they would fund the publication. Then there were philanthropists and patrons who would sponsor, or so there was, before commercial publishing happened, there was sponsored publishing. Now, if you really know, Wikipedia is crowdfunded. And so the old system of, crowdfunding, people funding is coming back. The most important form of publishing has been commercial publishing. So let's take a look at 3 types of encyclopedias published in the world. One is the commercial model, which is the Encyclopedia Britannica, which is very successful, that follows the commercial model. The Chinese encyclopedias it was state-sponsored and state-run. And then we have Wikipedia, which is crowd-funded. Also, we have subsidized content which is subsidized by the state. USSR had this. The NCRT and SCRTs are, their content is state subsidized. Then there is advertisement-led. A lot of content today is advertisement-led. So they are either partially free or with a small price for the user to pay. So all these models are in vogue when we look at content. Now, I've talked about the primacy of the book. Now let's look at the digital inroads. This is a quote that I want us to spend a little time on. So the first part of the quote, you're a digital native. If anything was in the world when you were born, it's normal. So you're a digital native. The second is when you have reached a particular age and you become a digital migrant. Maybe some of us are digital migrants. And then anything that is invented after you're 35, you become a digital dodo, which means you become extinct, or you can be a digital eagle, where the mythical eagle goes to the mountain top and scrapes its beak and talons and is born anew. So the equivalent of that for us is to learn, upskill, and become savvy in whatever is new that is happening. Now, so the first signs of things going digital was Michael Hart's Project Gutenberg. This was in 1971, and he is credited with the invention of the e-book. His effort was to digitize and archive cultural works and provide free ebooks. Around 60,000 ebooks are in circulation in his digital library. The history of digitization, some of the early adopters of digital technology were the big academic giants in law, medicine, engineering. They worked on huge databases because it's very important for them. The late 90s, the emergence of Wikipedia completely changed the landscape for reference publishing. So today, when we look up a word, if we were to look up a word on, we know the meaning of a word. We first probably Google it and it throws up on Wikipedia, and we are happy because we more or less know the meaning. So most referencing is online today. EB themselves have stopped the print edition in 2012, and from they're all online. So what accelerated the digitization process is basically digitization of media, the internet, and mobile digital readers. So that's where we stand. I've been able to trace till 2010. Beyond 2010, there have been a lot of activities. We'll look at so many more of them as we go along. Mike Shatskin, he's about 70 years old, but he's a big advocate of digital. He says in his ideological blog, his blog is called the Ideological Blog. It's a free, you can subscribe for it, it's free. He says print books are not getting any better. Ebooks and digital books are. And in the US, 50% of immersive reading is digital. So he is tracing that like I told you in the last slide that immersive reading is people would prefer the books, but what Mike Schatz can say is 50% of reading in the US, immersive reading in the US is digital. So in the digital age, there is interaction between the writer and the reader, and writers become both readers and writers at the same time. So they are called readers, writers and readers together. In the digital age, there is collaboration with editors, designers, image specialists. They work together to create the digital output. It's different from the print thing. Authors are encouraged to make personal appearances, interact on social media, promote and build brands. And they are required to write books to be read as snippets or to be remixed as pages. The digital product per se is a result of collaboration, content packaging, community, and reader participation. So I was reading about. I've looked at Wattpad. It's said to be the world's largest community for discovering and sharing stories. Now, an important thing for authors and all of us to perhaps understand is the placing of content on the digital platform does not guarantee readership. The reader is distracted by choices on the very device he intends to read. An American author called John Updike, he is very scathing in his opinion on the concept of authorship in the digital age that involves nurturing relationships, sharing, links, and connections. He says authors and writers and artists are supposed to make a living selling performances, access to the creator, personalization, add-on information, sponsorship, and periodic subscription. Instead, he feels, perhaps what I agree with, the book is a site of encounter in silence of two minds, one following the other steps, but invited to imagine, to argue, to concur on a reflection beyond that of personal encounter with all its merely social conventions, its merciful padding of blather and mutual forgiveness. That, he says, is what the book is, a site of encounter in silence of two minds. That struck me. Clark and Phillips, the best authors on Inside Book Publishing. Their current book is in the 5th edition. It's a wonderful read. They quote the words of Jonathan Franzen, which echoes along the same lines as what John Updike said. What happens when people who become writers because yakking and tweeting and bragging felt to them like intolerably shallow forms of social engagement? What happens to the people who want to communicate in depth, individual to individual, in the quiet and permanence of the printed world, and who are shaped by the love of writers who wrote when publications assured some kind of quality control and literary reputations were more than a matter of self-promotion decibel levels? There have been there has been criticism to the type of authorship in the digital age, but I think we'll move on. Now, this particular slide tells you from the publisher's point of view what are the differences between print and digital, and why there is a traction for digital as compared to print. it's true that most traditional publishers have either stopped or reduced their investment into print, and it's not as if they have earned a lot in digital or thing, but some of this would make sense. The print depends on unit or variable cost economics. So the scale of production determines the overall cost and unit cost. So here, variable costs are high and fixed costs are low. You need continuous investment in paper and printing and binding in order to sustain any given product or title. In digital, it's based on fixed cost economics. Fixed costs are high, variable costs are low. So reproduction costs are negligible. Now, the print like movies, CDs, and music CDs and books, they are a single creation product. So content is very crucial for any of these three things that I mentioned to survive, to succeed. Whereas digital is a continuous creation product. So TV programs, magazines, and newspapers are continuous creation. So the effort is in creating a customer base. Now, in books, basically the sponsoring editor is supposed to be a portfolio manager. So project and portfolio management is what happens in print. In digital, it is brand management. So see, in portfolio management, what happens is you have a portfolio of products, and the few hit titles sustain the low selling ones. So we have this rule which says that 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your titles. So that is what happens in print. In digital, the effort is to create a customer base, brand management, and sustainability. In print, we are still product centric. See, printing cannot happen unless you have a viable minimum print. So you first produce and then sell later. So even if you were to produce, your requirement is 100 copies, but maybe your viable quantity is 500 or 300 or 200. So you still incur costs. In digital, we create the effort is to create the product first and then sell later. And to create the customer first and then sell, sell, or then produce and sell. Once a customer is created, in most cases, test marketing is done. And so big budget spending does not happen. There is no concept of minimum viable production. And the biggest benefit is that there are negligible reproduction costs. Operational issues are a very important thing. We all know that the operational costs include warehouse, inventory, shipping, cash flow, unviable credit cycles, sales returns, and cost of unsold stock. In fact, the biggest bugbear in printing is excess inventory carried by publishers and huge credit cycles. Now, this is eased to a large extent in digital. As I mentioned earlier, there has been, in spite of imperfections in the copyright system, copyright stability has been there, in the sense that whatever investments have gone to whatever investments have gone into the print product, the investors have been assured because of copyright stability. Both authors as well as publishers have been assured of their investments. But because of the digital copyright challenges, investors meaning publishers are very wary of investing into a thing where you can easily download, you can easily share, you can link, you can do. So there is a little bit of uncertainty as regards digital. So these are the prime differences between print and digital as far as the publishers concerned. So why digital publishing? What are the
Can I interrupt you, Madhavan?
Yeah.
Somebody has raised a hand, and somebody else had a question earlier.
Right.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question there.
Yeah.
Copyrights matter. Morning, sir. It's
Yeah. What is your question, please?
Dave, are you there?
it's turning out to be a very informative.
Dave,
Hello.
Yeah.
We didn't get your question.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm Shoma Bhattacharya.
Yeah.
I'm using my husband's WhatsApp.
We are losing you.
My husband's Zoom link, so which is why the. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
So about the copyrights, if you might throw a little detail, some insights would be useful, because in print we all understand what copyright is all about. That content that you use in whatever form, literary or non-literary, whatever that you use, stories, poems, or visuals, they are the original work of somebody. But isn't that the same thing in digital? Huh? So how does one respond to that?
Okay. So when we talk of digital copyright, they are all derived from that actually is a complaint of the new medium also, that it's all derived from the print thing. So copyright laws pertain to the print thing, but what happens is they are it's very difficult to control the digital world, digital medium, because it's very easy to share information. Say for instance, in 2012 there was an article written by somebody that comes out today as a WhatsApp message, that as if somebody else has written it. So how do you control something like that? Or if I have written a book, and in fact my next slide will explain this more, but since you've asked this question, I'll answer it now. If I have written a book and tomorrow that information keeps circulating on the digital world as somebody else's work, then copyright has two rights. One is the economic right, the other is a moral right. So I have the moral right as an author to the integrity of that work being mine and not being usurped or taken away by somebody else. So people have yet to find how to control this. So what is happening today is there are now stricter controls using DRM technology, which prevents, which exceeds the control that the print medium had. For instance, if somebody is you write a material and it goes through the DRM process, and the person reading it might get a right for only 1 year, whereas when you buy a book, you get it for lifetime. So as yet, foolproof systems of copyright protection has not been accorded in the digital thing. And even if somebody says that I have the best, even Amazon, which has the best DRM in the world, they do not guarantee you that their DRM can be hacked. So there is always this element of suspicion thing. I will show the next slide and explain a little bit more about what are these
Thank you.
flipped concepts. Did I answer you?
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe going forward it will become more clear.
Yeah, okay. So I'll first talk about this mind-boggling flip concepts. So the entire system of content over these years has relied on the system of the stability of the copyright, which has been reasonably stable for the last 100 years. Now, in the digital, it is not stable. I'll tell you about this remix and mashup that I've mentioned there. There is one author who sold more than 50, I don't know whether it's 5 lakh copies or more than that, which the title was Axolotl Roadkill. This axolotl is a walking fish. She wrote this book, and she had taken material. She was a young girl when she wrote it, and she had taken material from various other authors, and it was published and it sold, and then it ran into copyright issues. Now, there's another author who used Wikipedia entries to write his book called The Map and the Territory, a French author who used. So his argument was, if anybody can edit the Wikipedia, then why not I take material and publish it as my material? So in terms of so the concepts of remix, which happens in music, and mashup, which happens in music, when it comes to intellectual property, especially longer length text, then it's quite a frightful or challenging scenario. So that is one mind-boggling flip concept, because what happens here is investors and authors no longer want to create. Their creativity, the publishers do not want to invest in new products because they're not sure what will happen to their asset. And authors, if they are to lose the moral rights to their work, see, many authors may not be interested in commercials, but even authors who are not interested in commercials will still like to have moral rights, where nobody is able to plagiarize their work or attribute tamper with their work and make derogatory statements and things like that to their work. They would definitely not like their work to be tampered with. So that is one. That is we're still on the cusp of that, and copyright is an thing. In addition to copyright, there are new movements of alternatives to copyright called Creative Commons and copyleft. And there is also the movement towards free. Chris Anderson wrote this book called Free, where a lot of material could be offered free. So that is one mind-boggling concept. The other is very crucial and very close to those who have worked in traditional publishing, which is filter and publish. So you have the role that traditional publishers play is of the gatekeeping role. You select content according to its merit. You validate content. You authenticate that content. You involve peer reviewers to review the projects and evaluate the content before publishing it. Whereas in digital, the process is called publish first and filter later. It's a natural selection process. The fittest will survive. It's a Darwinian model, where if the material is not good, it will die. So you first publish and then filter. So that that also is a very mind-boggling concept, because you don't know what sort of country you're going to get in the because there is no authentication, there is no credibility check, there is no vetting and validation of the content, which hitherto was happening in traditional publishing. So the process of curation, which happens in traditional publishing companies, no longer you have content farms which will churn out content, and you're not sure whether that content is up to speed or not. The other things on this thing, why traditional publishing has its own drawbacks. For instance, on an average, we sell about 2 lakh copies of to various students. We don't know who or where the student is from. We don't have direct contact with readers. Both publishers and authors do not know who their readers are in the traditional scheme. Whereas in digital publishing, they unless you know who your reader is, the system itself enables being part of communities. So the reader, the writer knows the reader, and the reader knows the writer. So that is in the digital scheme of things. There is increased social media presence. There is better discoverability of content, potential for collaborative work. So you work with image artists, photographers, video editors, audio editors, and things like that. And you in digital, you can have granular content. You can have a chapter, or you can personalize the content. For instance, if a book has 40 chapters and you need only 14, and you need a different set of content to be made available in an academic environment, that is possible. Personalization, authors are talking about different endings for a particular story to cater to different media. So all this is possible in the digital thing, and that is why digital is it's a lot different from what print is. So moving on, who are the players in the digital thing? Before I even touch upon who the players are, the emergence of Wikipedia, the migration. I'm told 95% of all journals in the world are digital today. The migration of all reference material to online, that is even the great dictionaries of the world, all reference material is digital. But even before if you look at what has happened, both partly due to competition and the linearity that used to be followed between manufacturer, wholesaler, retailer, customer, or that linearity is no more there. The publisher also becomes a retailer, the retailer becomes a publisher, the wholesaler becomes a publisher, the wholesaler also becomes an online vendor, and you have librarian agents. There are famous authors whose agents have become publishers today, and librarians are called upon to do a quick print job. Institutions publish their own material. Authors self-publish. So all these happen, and in the midst of all this, apart from big publishers competing with themselves, big technology players enter the field. So which is why you have Amazon, Apple, Google, and Facebook. They all need content. So each of them needs these content for different reasons. Amazon needs it online sales of books, database of customers, develops software, and sells hardware. So they need content for that. Apple, in order to sell its high margin products, needs content. Likewise, Google, they sell ads, and so their search technology, so free content and gain advertising revenue. Facebook, social network, free content and advertising revenue. And Wikipedia is crowd-funded, free content, non-expert contributors. So the digital players, in addition to that, today we have publishing platforms, or platform publishers, as you would like to call it. I will explain that in the next slide, where they do many things, which, as I said, I'll explain. So platform publishers are also competitors or digital players. Now, the digital products and initiatives. See, it's still ongoing. It's safe to say that nobody has made money in digital as yet. And publishing platforms, most of the investments of the publishing platforms have come in educational technology. I understand that I was reading a report or a news item which says that $4 billion have been invested in India in educational technology, and of which 2 point something has been invested in the year in this pandemic year. So a large number of technology players have come into India, and so much of investment is happening, and perhaps that is where the opportunities are. We'll talk about that a little later. But so what do these publishing platforms do? They have content management systems and learning management systems, which they offer with or without digital rights management. They have ebooks. I mean, they host or they aggregate. Most of them model themselves as aggregators, and so there are ebooks. They offer learning courses. They offer tutorials, assessments, online resources, and teacher resources. Now, what are the digital initiatives? The digital initiatives include features like hotspots, chatbots, AR, VR, personalized solutions, subscription-based models, workbooks, worksheets, audio videos with celebrity voices, and the coffee table books now, illustrated books to come with AR and VR, and mobile platforms. Now, the digital products per se are ebooks, audiobooks, lecture notes, lecture videos, smart books, enhanced ebooks, multimedia books, and customized content. Now, the iBog is a product that was developed by a Danish publisher, and I'll tell you a little bit about this. I'm yet to see the features of. It's a web accessible book, so it's a web-based publication readable on a computer or other device with a reader. It is dynamically structured with easy navigation. And includes features such as text, graphics, video, audio, animation, and interactivity. End users are given a login service, software services, and the iBog is built with a database management system. The digital workflow is designed by multiple contributors who are specialists in various aspects. Of course, this is 4 years. This was done 4 years back. I'm not sure how successful they are. And different genre of publishers offer different things. School publishers have focused on AR and VR, audiobooks, hotspots, interactive readers, assessment, quiz, activities, fact sheets, teacher resources, material on mobile solutions, and sometimes complete solutions to schools, complete digital solutions to schools. That is what school publishers are working on. College publishers have apps, free chapters, assessment, MCQ, personalized solutions where students learn at their convenience, chapter apps for the mobile platform, granular content, and online resources. In general and trade publishing, mobile platform, subscription-based offering, AR way of illustrated books, audio and video with celebrity voices. These are some of the initiatives or initiatives in general thing. In academic, large investments have already been made in large investment in technology solutions have already been made by the academic publishers. By academic, I mean the medical, legal, engineering, the STEM publishers. They are early adopters of the nuances of digital publishing, and they rely on databases and includes accounting also. So these are the digital initiatives and products I've been able to research on presently. Okay, here is a peep into an evolving digital product. I've taken this thing from an article in the Logos by Hal Robinson. He wrote this in 2012. I've been trying to follow, not from 2012, maybe from 2016 on, whether such products are. There have been steps in this sphere, but not all features have been captured as yet. So this then futuristic product, and still quite a good bet, I would say, is, let's take cookery for instance, a cookery book with recipes. So there could be a print version of this, there could be an ebook, there could be an enhanced ebook with video and audio, there could be a shopping app, a magazine in print and digital form. They offer a collectible or gift items along with this product, and they tie up with third-party products such as cooking equipment vendors, or even provide ingredients. They have events featuring the author. They hold demonstrations and seminars. There is a website to coordinate access and payment. And there are free offerings, digital marketing tie-ups with other product companies. So this seems to be a futuristic or an evolved digital product, though I can tell you that this information was given by Hal Robinson in 2012. And most importantly, this is suitable for all niche areas like travel, self-help, health, gardening, fitness, etc. So instead of just relying on print or just an ebook, perhaps in all these areas, you could have offerings which you can have offerings like some of the features mentioned here. One of the biggest traction for authors in digital publishing is the concept of self-publishing. Essentially, it started off with the movement that the artist is also an entrepreneur. Not author takes control. He invests and markets the product, and so he becomes the entrepreneur. In the case of the author, is the entrepreneur in the case of self-publishing. And instead of waiting endlessly for a publisher to give consent, the author publishes a book, and so the control is in the hands of the individual. So that was a concept behind self-publishing. Now, I've given you some examples here. Writing the bullet thing. See, a whole lot of this continues with hybrid activities. So somebody publishes a digital book, then they are taken by print publishers, and some of them have offered free content. So writing the bullet, 50 Shades of Grey, Blood, Sweat, and Tea. In India, we have I was able to access information to 2 authors who have done this successful. The Indian example includes Rasna Atreya. Her book, Tell a Thousand Lies, on Amazon Kindle, was offered a contract by a traditional publisher, which she refused because she had to give away the digital rights. And but she's supposed to be extremely successful in her product. And Savita Sharma, her book Everyone Has a Story, sold 5,000 copies on Amazon, and later she published the print and digital versions with Westland publishers. Self-publishing is greatly helped by the technology of print-on-demand publishing, where the author or whoever is a publisher can print even 10 copies or 100 copies or even 1 copy if need be. And so whenever there is an order, this technology enables the single copy production as compared to the print, where you need to print a minimum viable quantity. So one of the biggest beneficiary is the system of self-publishing, which is benefited from the digital disruption. As I told you earlier, these are all the new roles and names for content processing. And I've taken all this from LinkedIn, where the advertisements in LinkedIn are for these roles. As I mentioned earlier, traditional publishers are investing lesser and lesser in print products, and the concept is maximizing the value of content that they hold. Actually, traditional publishers are guilty of, of being very greedy when they had it going well for themselves, where there was a lot of publishing that happened. And today the investments are not there. As I said, educational technology is a space where a lot of investment has been made. And so the roles associated with education and technology combining. So the roles are instructional design, content strategist, content curator, content writer, subject matter expert. And you have subject matter reviewer. And then you also have video editors, editorial researchers, multimedia editors, and things like that. So these are the new roles. These are what I picked up from Ting. Maybe 1 or 2 I will explain. The job description given in LinkedIn. For instance, instructional designer, the job description says coordinates with SMEs, writes engaging storyboards, activities and assessment, communicates with clients and others, applies learning theories to create targeted solutions, experience in mapping information and writing instructional objectives and structure content. So essentially, if you look at it, language and editing skills, communication, project management skills, and ID domain knowledge. So you need to have ID domain knowledge for sure. But the rest of it is, I'm sure a lot of traditional publishing folk migrate there. So again, what was said about content strategist from the job description is knowledge of content management systems, project management, HTML and web publishing, familiarity with SEO guidelines, and keyword search tools, social media for business, solid writing and editing skills, having the ability to create style guides and generate content for topics. A content analyst is someone, according to this one advertisement, was to review text, photos, videos, and sound, organize, categorize, and publish content using specific tools and channels. So the content curator is one who selects and validates appropriate content. The writer creates comparing blog posts, handbooks, copy, and other forms of content, attracts qualified traffic and demand, has the knack of storytelling and desire to drive growth alongside a team of writers, analysts, and designers. So these are some of the things that I'm sure if you were to Google this, or if you are linked, then you can go to LinkedIn and check this out. So the field of education is undergoing more or less an equal degree of disruption as publishing, and there are these massive open online courses which offer functionality of textbooks. They replicate the course and teaching methods and offer certification. All of us must be familiar with Code Academy, Udemy, and Coursera. So they offer free beginners courses, intermediary courses at half price, advanced courses at full price. The learning is free and they pay for certification. Then you have webinars by ICACI Direct Stock Market, where they offer direct stock market lessons. I'm sure we have webinars on copy editing courses. And there are Skype courses for music, vocal and instrumental, both types of music. There are PowerPoint presentations and open archives. You also have publishers who have content and employability oriented courses where they offer in their seek to maximize the value of their content. They also become, for instance, we have material on certain areas where we have a book on quantitative aptitude, which we offered alongside, which we offered to a publishing platform, Class Plus, where they are taking it to their marketplace has tutors. So they are taking it there and selling it as chapters or selling it as a whole. And we are looking to, we have a book on retailing, which is very useful for, it's an employability oriented course. So as a publisher, we are also entering into the education space. Interestingly, publishers are now called education or learning companies. Okay, that's about, that's my, where is my, you've taken away everything. Yeah, got it. Okay. Before I, this is my last slide, and so quickly to tell you what we did during the pandemic, we hardly had any sales of physical books, and neither did we have any sale of digital products or anything substantial. But we still did certain things because we had to do certain things. You have to run 4 times faster to remain in the same place. That's what Lewis Carroll says. And especially as you get older. And so we had a tie-up with platform publishers. We have tie-up with Ulex, with Class Plus, with Wonderslate. We're talking of, we are progressing types with Clara Education and EduTech, Clara EduTech, and we had types with Igniter. And so these are some of the types with platform publishers. We converted our textbooks into courses wherever it was suitable. We developed PDF versions of ebooks as well as EPUB versions and smart books. Smart books was with Wonderslate. And we had a very unique product for the Madras University, which is called, which was a product kit for their entire commerce course. First semester, we offered 4 books for the price of 250, 5 books for the price of 350 in the third semester, and for the fifth semester students, 6 books for the price of 450. We didn't sell even one single copy as yet. But it's an innovative product, and the reaction I got was the product was good, but it will probably sell after the pandemic when students start going to college because they're fatigued by online classes. Most importantly, one of the policy decisions that we took was, we decided that there will be certain products which we'll only take to digital first, and they will only be digital offerings. Then we also decided that those that sell below a certain quantity, we will continue to offer them only as digital products. And these were policy decisions that we took. And we also understand that there are a lot of niche areas which could be very amenable and suitable for digital publishing. So we have hit upon those areas, and we are looking to get and process manuscripts and products in those areas. Apart from that, some of our initiatives includes audio and video books, lecture notes, PowerPoints, question banks, multimedia interactive books, snippets and chapter level offerings, best-selling authors giving lectures on YouTube, and conversion of some of our app products into AR VR. So this is something that we have been doing. As regards opportunities, see, what I understand is a number of traditional publishing professionals, they're losing jobs. So it's easy to say that what is required is upskilling, constant learning, develop problem solving skills, communication skills, and IT and computer navigation skills. I believe that specialist professionals will always be in demand, and the carefully honed skills of content creation, content processing, content delivery, and marketing will always be in demand. The industry has been going through greed and glut, so disruptions in the core business, which includes disintermediation and copyright issues, will cause instability. So traditional publishing, the investments will be much lesser. The policy of digital first and hybrid will be in vogue. So blended learning in the educational sector, that will also be, the Vice Chancellor of Madras University has said that blended learning will happen much more after COVID. And finally, I would say that there will always be a market for quality. So whether you are a publisher or whether you are a individual, quality will matter. Thank you so much.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Madhavan. And
so shall I stop sharing screen?
Yes.
Can you take a question?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. So this was, regarding, when you spoke of skilling and reskilling.
Yeah,
Now, don't you think that there is a danger that with all the layoffs that one hears of in the industry, we are
right.
losing out on skills? Because I mean, since you've also been in traditional publishing, and so have I.
Yeah,
Uh, I mean, what would you expect? Someone who is an editor, for example,
right.
or on an indexer, for example, or a layout artist, for example, be able to do after so many years of specialized service. We are losing out, and I mean, it's like saying that, well, if someone has been, let's say, a chef in a good hotel, and then this person runs out of job, and then this person takes up a sales job somewhere else. I mean, the years of dedication gone into developing, into building up the skills of a chef, and maybe coming out with those fantastic burgers and sizzlers, goes out to waste. So how will that person be able to give the same amount of output to some other industry? This is something which bothers me. And even when I look around, and think of editors, I mean, I can empathize with editors who have who have been asked, who have been given a golden handshake, and I mean, I can empathize with them, that what are they going to do? Because it's I mean, they've done so many years is to know that space is money, right? That space is money, and that they need to minimize on that space, and extra character is money. So where will they use this eye for knowledge? I mean, this eye for detail. I'm really scared about it, and I feel very uncomfortable when I think of the future, because I'm not sure how much of this skill would be used on the digital platform. Hmm? How do you respond to that as a publisher? I mean, this is my anxiety as an editor, project manager, as a material writer, as a content specialist. How do you respond to that?
Okay. I would say that the more and more we go away from the core, the more and more we go away from the core, they will see the traditional publishing will not be as important or as relevant. I think as before. I think that's
True.
something that we have to accept.
We have accepted it, that the dependence on traditional publishing and traditional textbooks and stuff like that.
But those who offer quality will always be in demand. So that cannot die away. That cannot be wished away. So there will be lesser offerings, but there will be a space for people who can offer quality. See, when we are fed up with all the nonsense that comes on WhatsApp, what do?
We shut up. We just shut up.
We go to a source which can give us good information, or which can give us curated information, which is thing. So, I feel that there will always be space for quality, and also it is not like those who have invested. For instance, when I said that $4 billion have been invested, I've been talking to some of these educational thing. They want very great quality. Only they don't want it the way we know it as of now. They want this quality to be delivered in the way, but they want quality. They are not wasting. They are not spending money on spurious stuff. They want quality. So anybody who's got quality in the traditional space will definitely find value. I think. Only thing is the editor, be it the acquisition editor or the copy editor, played a very important role. Now they'll have to play one of the 4 important roles and not the only important role. So you will have to learn how to collaborate and work with others. And so it's like going back to learning what has to be. It's like going back to learning and remember your younger days when you joined the industry.
Yeah, of course there will be a lot of unlearning in the process.
Yes, yes, yes.
But again, like you mentioned, that takers still ask for quality.
Correct.
They ask for quality, and there is a there is an surge in people who are delivering content, learning content. I mean, learning. I put it within quotes, but how much of that is quality is a question, and I'm not sure how much of it would actually survive the test of time.
No, I think there's a crowd out there, and
Yeah.
so over that din, quality will surface. So there'll be a lot of muck that we'll
Yeah.
have to sort through, and but I'm sure quality will rule the roost.
Thank you, sir. That's very
I,
optimistic.
I have a question for you, Mr. Madhavan.
Yeah,
Compared to digital marketing and print
right.
marketing of
Yeah.
both, what is the cost of marketing per se, if you compare it?
Um, I can only speak very generally on this. Um, you can think of Byju's and the sort of advertisements they do, and I'm told they still haven't started making money. And
True.
so there are. It all depends on whether you want to be business to consumer or consumer. I mean, business to consumer directly or business to business. And so the market for from business to customer, direct customer, is going to involve huge sums of money because say somebody who needs English language skills, maybe the 30% illiterates in India would need that, and the rest of the others who have learned. You can say maybe 100 million people, but how will you place your finger on each person? So that requires a lot of marketing.
I was looking particularly at books because you're making a lot of your books into the print media, into the digital media, right?
Yeah.
If you're taking
So
a book,
initially, we do continue to invest and hope that I would say we have not done enough. I mean, personally speaking, we have not done enough in terms of marketing our product, even in one university's area. So we have not done enough.
in
And
digital or in print media?
I'm talking of digital. Print, we do a lot. We know we are still not able to place our hands on the digital thing. Suddenly, we get maybe a 70 copy order from an isolated institute. And for instance, even 3 years back, we sold one of our books, we sold 800 licenses to a university. One of our books, we sold 800 licenses, and another book, 400 licenses. This was through a publishing platform called Igniter. They offered a free laptop to every student of their university. And so we were able to bundle up, package our books with that publishing platform. And but the next year, the students decided they will not go in for that. So the next 3 years, we never had any sale from them.
What kind of digital marketing do you do? What do you do?
Right now, we are on all the social media. We have a Facebook page, and beyond that, I'm not able to immediately think of things that we've been doing because we've just started this. And if anybody else in the audience can highlight on what are the digital marketing things that a publisher can do, I would be very grateful and happy to listen.
Yeah, Madhavan, last week we had Rachana Kalra's session on book marketing.
Right.
And that was a very detailed session, and I have actually shared the link for our YouTube channel with Shamim. So, Shamim, you can watch that session. And we are even planning to have a follow-up session for that, in which we will look specifically into the budgeting thing, like how much money you need if you want to run a campaign on Facebook or on Instagram or on LinkedIn and the other social media channels. So I think that session is a general session, and we will follow it up later. So I have sent the link to you in your chat box.
Thank you.
Yeah, Vinod, you can.
Yeah,
you
I
can
have
go
a
ahead.
question, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, so first of all, very informative session. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Vinod.
Yeah, I was just hoping that there was something more on the distribution front, because that's one area which I feel is a black box to most people. And as a self-published author, I've faced a huge challenge, in the distribution front.
Right.
That's more on the traditional print, industry. I'm saying digital is much more accessible and transparent, I believe.
Right.
But when it comes to print, distribution is a very difficult, thing to crack. So how should we approach it, and how does it work? Just to understand that.
Yeah. So right now things are in a limbo, even as far as the print world is concerned, because the All India, we had a few All India distributors, and they've all on the verge of closing down, or they've gone out of business. Okay. So, and a lot of them owe a lot of money to people. So if you were to distribute through some of them, you may not get your money back. So it's a very great care that you'll have to give it to, especially your book, which I have a copy. So yeah. The physical distribution of your physical product, you will have to be very careful, because everybody would accept your book for distribution, but whether you'll get your money back is $1 million question. So I think if a proper route can be found through online sources like Amazon or Sapna or any of those distributors who operate online, that would be the best thing. To answer a little bit on the previous question of Shamim and what else we do, see, we are an educational book publisher, so we have tied up with these publishing platforms, and they do their marketing for some. They do a little bit of marketing for us, and so we are still in the process of gaining traction with some of these people. And the limited knowledge that we have not hired digital marketers yet. Because we're still not sure of a lot of things, and even if business is normal, we could have had a digital marketer, but we are not in that situation right now. But to your physical book, distribution is a big issue as of this point. It's as much a problem for me, having been in the industry for as a publisher for 20 odd years. It's still a problem, because we are very careful with who we give our books to. I think anybody should be very careful. Those who sell print books on online medium are a better source, because you still they would take only limited stock, and they would, if it sells, you would get to know about it, and you would think. So that is my 2-bit on physical distribution, if I've answered your question.
Yeah, I think partly, I think that's a reply or the kind of feedback I've got from most people. There's a huge reluctance, I think, to accept new books.
Correct.
And everybody seems to be very conservative about the whole process, and there's total, there's no transparency at all, it seems, on how the whole thing works.
I don't know how this will help. In 2004, any book that I brought out or I published between 2004 and 2006, I could sell 2,000 copies, even books that I felt were not particularly good. And today, if I bring out even a good book, I'm not able to sell 200 copies. So there's a lot of effort that needs to go to marketing.
Okay.
Marketing that book because there is a glut, and there is the legacies of whatever have been done earlier affecting everybody. See, the system, the publishing system is going through a very, very tough time in terms of collection, past dues, in terms
Yeah,
of
I think
credit
that's
cycles,
a
the
big
inventory that they own, they hold, and so that is a
yeah. So I think that's going. That problem is going to stay with us, I think, for some time.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for replying.
Yeah.
We note to build up on like what Madhavan answered about your question. I would say, like, when I consider the subject area of the books that you write, like finance is something that I think everybody is interested in, and to learn it in a simple way, which is not always possible. And I have read your book. So when I look at the cookery book example that Madhavan had mentioned, like there is a cookery book, but there are so many different ways in which you can market it or sell it. So maybe that is something you need to think of, like rather than concentrate on traditional distribution, you will have to find new ways. And when the whole world is like going online and digital, that is something you need to explore more. Like,
True. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
raised your hand.
True. Thank you. Thank you.
In between, Shamin had asked a question. What do you mean by writing books in snippets? Serialized books. That's a question she had asked.
Right. So let's say I've written a book of 100 pages, and for a particular, or let's say I have content for 100 pages, but a particular platform or source needs 10 pages of that material. So then I need to be able to, as an author, give that material as 10 pages. So either I have 100 pages and I give 10 pages away, and the next probably they'll serialize it and say the continuation of the thing will be another 10 pages which comes the next time. So the same 100 pages might be given away as snippets. That is what I meant.
Thank you, Mr. Madhavan.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Madhavan, Naval here.
Hi, Noel.
Very informative session, and thank you so much for putting it together.
Yeah.
I think my point is that in a traditional publishing space, everyone had a very clear role and clear responsibility. So the education institutions were they were engaged in teaching.
Can I interrupt you, Noel?
Yeah.
Okay. Noel worked with McGraw-Hill, with Pearson, with S. Chand. His last job was as director of at S. Chand, senior vice president at S. Chand. Before that, he was director at Pearson, and before that, is national sales manager at McGraw-Hill. So he is right now the owner of the publishing platform I forgot to mention, called netbookflix.com. So Noel, you can now say.
Yeah. So basically, in the traditional space, everyone had a very clear line and clear responsibility, and that's where I think everyone was sort of working in a particular area and prospering there. With the digital coming in, I think those lines have blurred completely.
Okay.
And everyone is trying to do everything in the game of learning solution. Do you think the traditional thinking of publishing is finding it very hard to live in this new world?
I should think so. It's very difficult for somebody who's inured in a thing to move away. So I think we need to have in fact, Naval has this system of subscription-based thing. If you can talk a little bit about it, Naval. I'm yet to understand it fully. Though I'm tied up with them, I'm yet to understand it fully on how subscription-based selling of textbooks is going to happen. So it's a library concept. And so if you can highlight on that, it will be nice, because that's a new thing which I didn't mention anywhere in my presentation, actually.
Yeah, I think I saw a particular line where you talked about the subscription. But I think that's
a quick 2-line thing on how that works.
Yeah, so on Netbookflix, we basically are putting it content in 4 forms, which is the textbook and the class notes, which is a traditional text-based content. And I think in the modern form, which is audio-video form, and also the AR/VR form. So we believe that, the learning is moving away from the text-based content to a video-based content. Or even if it is not moving away, actually it is more inclusive in terms of various other forms of content taking place. So we believe that, we need to bring in all the 4 forms of content and start delivering services using technology. My personal feeling is that, that traditional form of selling a complete package book of, let's say, 600 pages or 800 pages textbook or 1200 pages textbook, I think those days are over, because after our own research, we figured out that, two basic thing which has come up is that, students do not wants to own a full book. And the second thing is that they want a snippet of content anytime, anywhere kind of thing. So they really get discouraged with reading a one-shot 600, 800 pages kind of book. So it has to submerge into a more topical-based content rather than a full a subject or a course-based content. So that's where I think we brought out this concept of Netbookflix, because we believe that, we need to focus more on learning. Let content be in any shape. And we believe that, it's important in the digital medium that we track the learning of a student and keep helping in the process. So that's where we believe that, the subscription would help us to track a student's learning and keep helping him by creating various forms of recommendation system, throwing content which can really help them in this whole learning process.
Thank you so much, Naval.
Thank you.
Mr. Madhavan, good afternoon. Mallika here.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mallika.
I have a question here. Now I'm listening at so many of these digital media initiatives.
Right.
I was working with children in a village. I was wondering if the print media could have some role to play in rural communities, where they have absolutely no access to internet or digital or any of it. Actually, they'd be doing a great service by moving this whole traditional system to the villages where if people rely, they don't even have books. I've seen them. And now, during this COVID time, teachers send them material on WhatsApp. And these people sit in darkness and write it up. It's so sad. They are such intelligent kids, actually. But why not the print media take it to rural communities and kids and make a difference there? Is that a very cost ineffective proposition or how?
It's a very good question. The current government's thinking is, even to bypass the print media and go digital. Digital India's program is meant to reach rural villages. They've started something on that. But I understand, we are in India. We are facing two situations. One is we have a lot of book hunger, and we also have book glut. So that's the situation India is going through. So to a large extent, I completely agree with you that percolation of information and access to education, access to basic facilities should percolate to every small nook and corner of the country. There are some who think that it is some of the new generation of rural students would be digital learners, and there is one thinking to that effect. But I completely agree with Mallika that whatever we do, we need to make sure that we are able to reach information and education to every nook and corner of the country. There have been suicides where a girl, she was asked questions on why she didn't connect on the thing, and their house did not have a computer or an internet facility, and so that happened in Kerala. So, and
Yes, Mr. Madhavan.
these are very serious problems.
Yes, actually, they for them even print media is a big thing. Having
Yeah.
books and reading, they are still never. Not all of them. I know this actual village I've seen in Patakota where after I started teaching them songs and stuff, some they got so interested. It became like a reverse osmosis. They loved the songs and the text that came with it, and the books that shlokas that came with it, and they started reading their textbooks better. It became like an interesting, and then they became more interested in reading the alphabets and those kind of things. For them books is like a so divine. So taking this completely to only the rural communities would be a major thing.
Yeah.
Would help enormously. I'm sure there'll be several villages like this one everywhere in the country where the digital media it's going to be a dream for so many more years because it
Right.
involves the parents having smartphones, which many of them don't have computers. None of them have it in that village. Where will they have all that? When?
Thank you, Mallika. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel for this really badly. So
Yeah.
I thought it's somebody like you who's such a
Mallika, you
person
should join the Indian Copywriters Forum. It's a Facebook forum. You should join.
I'll join, surely.
I think
You're my guru, Mr. Madhavan. I'll definitely do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mallika, I think your suggestion, it's a very good suggestion that publishers all over India need to think about, and Madhavan with his contacts and network and Mr. Nawal, I think they can work out something, and
Yes.
it will be great for like people in the villages to be able to read the books that they haven't been able to and which they can't afford, and it provides an alternative to the stock that publishers already have and they're not able to sell. And maybe they can find some sponsors also to cover up at least their basic costs.
Yeah,
Yes, Doctor.
Can I add something? I don't think it is limited to India. This particular point. See, when you look at a child, I mean, letting a child look at a screen, okay, I don't think that's a good idea. There have been so many reports by so many agencies and even individual experts, okay. It creates a hell of a lot of problems for the child, even comprehension problems, okay, and focus. So many things are disturbed, and I think at an early stage, the print media will help. Okay, how to balance these things out is going to be a problem, and that's problem is probably there more in the West because they are more into digital. Okay, and in India, as you said, books are divine. Okay, that's still there, and we should be fortunate that the thought is still there. Okay, I think going forward, it has to be a mix at a younger age. It might be better for print to be around for some more time, till some sense of balance is achieved.
Very true, because I was talking to someone yesterday who was in the US, and they were saying whose kids are just going to school, and they're saying in spite of all the advances and all the facilities, the education during the COVID times is hollow. That's the exact word. It's very hollow. That's what this person who is one of the senior most research directors in Intel. His kids go to are having taking online classes, and he says it's absolutely hollow. He is just waiting for the COVID to pass.
I want to add something to what Mallika was talking about, and to you, Mr. Madhavan. Again, I'm Shoma this side.
Yeah,
there are some NGOs I understand, from LinkedIn and from other sources who are taking the habit of reading to the rural areas. So there are some such few NGOs, and some of them even specialize in, let's say, reading only for girls. So which means that the content that they develop is meant for, let's say, first generation female learners, that sort of thing. So maybe as a publisher, you would like to connect with them, or provide your services to them, because I'm sure they also need a lot of support in different ways. I thought I should just, it may just help Mallika and others who are interested in this area.
Thank you.
Otherwise, it's been a fantastic session,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Madhavan.
Thank you.
Very well researched. Very well researched.
Thank you.
So do we have any more questions, or should we conclude? I would say it was a great session, and Mr. Madhavan presented a lot of information in a very short span of time, and it was followed up by a very fruitful discussion later on. Next Sunday, we will have a session on MS Word shortcuts, and that will be presented by Dr. Venkat. So if he can give us a brief 2-minute intro about what he's going to present.
Oh. Well, over the years, I felt that was probably the first thing that I should teach a copy editor. The basic medium is Microsoft Word, and so many people from college come there. They've used Word to some extent for some project or something, but they really don't know how to use it properly. And when you're in a production environment, it's absolutely important that you know how to get up to a certain speed. And I felt over years that this was a very important thing for a beginner. And I know there are umpteen shortcuts, groups on the internet, but I felt it's better that people learn it in a systematic way, and I've tried to group them and categorize them and maybe present them in a way that will align with the copy editor's way of thinking. Okay. That's what I would say. Maybe I'll talk more about it on Sunday.
Thanks, Dr. Venkat, and we will share the registration link for next Sunday's session by tomorrow. And we have already shared the link for our Saturday travel series session in the chat box. Our speaker is going to be Mr. Indranil Kar. He is a professional mountaineer and photographer for more than 25 years. And I've seen the footage that he's going to present. So please do attend that session. I would say you will forget discovery and net you when you see that session. So please be there. Thanks for attending.
Thank you everyone for patiently listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Madhavan. Wonderful session. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And those who are not yet part of Indian Copy Editors Forum, they can join our Facebook group and our WhatsApp groups. We have this series of webinars going on from 10th of May 2020. So today was the 35th session. And if you join these groups, then we will keep you updated about our upcoming webinars on Saturdays and Sundays. So have a nice day, everyone. See you on Saturday, 4 p.m.